that in a sense would have been wasted. But as I say, there's always the risk, I think, that the parents would have a natural, instinctive connection with that new child. And of course, if the child, as it grew up, was told, for example, that we're not your real parents, this is what happened, these things do come out, I think, surprisingly often for various reasons, then that could devastate the child who's growing up to know they were only produced, if you like, because
Yeah,
of they wanted to harvest its bone marrow. That
yeah.
could be a lot of damage to the child. But so again, as with these things, there may not be one answer. Almost anything you say you'll do could be viewed one way or the other, I guess. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
guess people are faced with this because siblings do produce bone marrow stuff. Okay, so that's our portion of ethical dilemmas. Now let's start on this thing we call love. Now I've got a few sort of questions.
I
I was
love,
interested to
I love
see.
love. I'm not sure love loves
Yeah,
me, but I know I love love.
you know you love love. Well, the first one is it? Do you think? And I know you're a man of principle.
Yeah.
You have, as you've already demonstrated, you have a good sense of values, and so on. Do you think it's possible to fall in love with somebody who doesn't share your values?
Ah, this is a tricky one actually because once the heart is involved, it's hard, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
hard. It's not as easy as people might say, or people might want to advise you to say, oh yeah, you shouldn't do that, maybe, you know.
Mm.
And they say opposites attract, don't it? So yeah, but doesn't, if somebody's value doesn't sort of tally with mine, I would really struggle. Um, I would be looking for more than the usual justification for getting
Yeah.
in union with this person. So I would really be scrutinizing everything that this person does, which isn't fair on the other person. So I would say no. I would say a straight no. If the values don't conform with mine, I'll leave it. I'll just say, um, I, I don't, because at the end of the day, um, you are going to be in union with this person, as in marriage or whatever, civil union, civil whatever,
Mm.
uh, and it would always conflict. There would always be a steady conflict on, what you want to do, what she wants to do, and how she views this and how you view that. It's just too much headache. I mean, I would do it when I was younger, because you don't really take into account these things when you're younger. You just think, but now I don't think so. I wouldn't.
No, and I think in a way the big dilemma, possibly for you and for many people, if we're talking of values, what values? Um, but let's say somebody is of a Christian outlook, a believing outlook in any religion, actually,
Yeah.
Jewish and all the others. If one is a believer and the other one is an atheist, completely disagrees with any belief about that, that might be where the problem could lie. And I think the question was, is it possible to fall in love with, or can you fall? Is it possible to fall in love with, or can you fall in love with somebody who has different values? Well, of course, as I think you touched on when you said about the heart, in a way, we get no choice, do we? I mean, we could say, is love real? Is it a feeling or is it a chemical change? Something some people call it an affliction, where when people fall in love, it's almost like some sort of an illness, because you undergo a lot of kind of almost bodily changes and mental changes. It's almost like you lose your appetite, or you other things, you don't sleep properly. So it's kind of almost hormonal changes in the body, and we don't really get a lot of choice. So if we find we've fallen for somebody who is significantly outside of our own general values of honesty, of maybe of belief, then in a way we don't get any choice. And if we then think, well, I've done the pros, I've done the cons, this person's very much on the con side, the negative considerations, and I'm just going to say no, sorry, and march off again into that lonely place of the self-righteous mountain. And one could deny oneself a lot of happiness, a lot of pleasure. But yeah, it's on paper, in theory at least, it's probably right to say not many people would want to continue a relationship if it became clear that the value difference, the values, your standards are totally different, from the other person. But maybe sometimes we can't always get past that. If somebody really means a lot to you, it may have to sort of go its course, and then things naturally go wrong, or whatever. So if we're thinking of this thing we call love, is it more about giving or more about receiving?
Right. I think it should be more about more about giving. That's what it should be. It should be more about giving, because if your heart is filled with love, you feel gratitude towards the other person. You feel a sense of appreciation, and so it makes you want to give. But then when it becomes about receiving, you need to question your you need to really question what you're in it for. If it's about receiving, if you just want to receive from this person. So yeah, I
Well,
would.
not just want to receive. I mean, that's the other end of the spectrum. But do you
Yeah.
think receiving is part of love as well as giving?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it doesn't have to be, when you say receiving, it doesn't have to be uh, in a physical something, anything of a physical nature. It doesn't have to be that. It could be your time, your feelings as well. You compromise
Mm,
on things, and that is also, giving. And receiving would be to then get that back, and that's when you know it's
yeah,
working. Although some people just want to give and give and give, and that works for them, but I think it's about giving and receiving, and it doesn't have to be anything monetary. It could be just, a feel good message. When you're down, you
yeah.
need some, and they just give you that. They give you that good vibe. I think that's in order. I would
I
think.
mean, to bring it to a very sort of superficial thing, if you're going out, say, with a new person you're going out with, and you have meals together. I think as a bloke, as a guy, I've always taken the view I'll pay for the meal, certainly the first few, and it would always be my sort of chivalrous instinct to say, yeah, I'll pay for the meal. But sometimes a woman will say, no, I'm going to pay, let me pay this time. And I do think, not just with that simple example, but part of love is to recognize the other person's need to give as well. So I think
Right.
we have to learn, as well as the instinct to want to give, especially to a new relationship, you also have to be able to receive. As you rightly said, there are some people who want to give, 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 and refuse to accept anything in return. And maybe that isn't what love is. I mean, as I say, we don't do religion, but I know that in the Bible, in Corinthians, second book, I think, it says love is patient, love is kind. All those things, it feels no desire for revenge or anything else. Now, I think we're coming to the end of our time, aren't we? So I've got quite a lot more on this subject. Like, for example, should love have boundaries? Are there limitations? Can it be unconditional? So there's a lot of things we can perhaps look at next time. But hopefully, we found some things of interest to think about there.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is all we've got time for. Time flies when you're having fun, they say. So, you've been watching and listening to the Alien Spaceship with myself, Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cuz.
And me, Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me too.